Jeffrey's playing video games with his friends on Discord, and Jessica is scrolling on TikTok and masturbating. They both lack any successful habits. They show up late and they even forget to drink water. By the time they are 25 years old, Jeffrey and Jessica are fatter, poorer, and now they're complaining about the cost of living crisis. Adonis and Anastasia are the opposite. They put in the work. At 21 years old, Adonis was building up his family's business. Long hours with excellent skills. Adonis worked hard. He only took breaks to work out. And Anastasia was building up her own side hustle too. She started a hair brand. It started out like a hobby, and then she turned it into a purposeful side hustle where she helps other girls feel better and get healthier hair. They get married, yay! They have healthy children, yay! They literally look like a different species compared to Jeffrey and Jessica. One day I was in school and my group of friends come up to me and they say, Hamza, we've all decided that you're the fattest one out of all of us now. And it wasn't true. Like, it actually was not true. One of them was definitely fatter than me. And I started to say this, but they were like, no, he's not. You're the fattest one now. People tell you that like bullying is bad or whatever, but I swear to God, I went home and that's when I started to study more about, okay, how do you get a six pack? My brother took me to the gym with him. I start learning, I start grinding. I go to the gym like almost every day if I possibly can. It takes me a few years and I've built a decent physique. I go through university, I'm getting so confident, I'm leveling up my social skills. And then I start my YouTube channel. I put in the work, I learn how to be like a high performer. I get disciplined, I meditate. My channel blows up in 2 years. And then I'm traveling in Thailand. I've just met a beautiful girl who's gonna become my girlfriend. I'm 25 years old, I'm young, I'm handsome, I'm making like crazy amount of money. I've got 500,000 followers and I go on Instagram and I just, for some reason, I get the idea to search up some of those guys from high school. I search up one guy's name and I notice straight away, I already thought this would happen. I look at his pictures and I'm like, holy shit, he got fatter, like he fell off. One by one, I look at like as many people I can remember from high school. And I don't mean to be disrespectful towards them, but like I didn't see a single person who seemed like they had actually gotten better. Like it seems like most people peaked at that time. The 21 to 25-year-old gap is like a filter. It's a filter that shows you the people who locked in, got on self-improvement and became successful, and who didn't. 90% of people just fall off completely. They regress. They do all of those Jeffrey, Jessica bad habits. They stay up late just watching content. They're watching a bunch of porn. They're even taking drugs. They're drinking in the daytime. They may be addicted to some kind of daytime drug like weed or you know, like Xanax or some weird shit like that. They are just absolute like consumers. And this is honestly, most people just live like this. They wake up and the first thing they do is just scroll. That's 90% of people. 9% of people live a balanced life. They get a decent job. They start making $30,000 a year, maybe even $40,000 a year in their early 20s. And so they've got a bit of prestige next to their friends. You know, they studied hard in school. They still have balance because when they come home from work, they just unwind and watch TV. Maybe they'll have a little glass of alcohol or something. Once a week, they'll maybe go meet their friends and they'll drink a little bit more and they'll have a couple of late nights. They'll be watching some TV, some content, but they're not as bad as like those absolute Jeffreys. These are like the prestigious, you know, like the person who's doing well in like a family. And 1% of people absolutely crush it. Usually these people are the ones who start a business. They develop the character traits of the extremely successful people, which I'll teach you in this video. They absolutely lock in. They even meditate, for example. They learn how to meditate so their brain is sharper. They have absolutely no time on TV, video games, scrolling. Like we're talking zero. They live an extreme life. Like people are almost offended by the way these guys live and they build massive success. They get to the point where by the time they're 25 years old, they're making $100,000 a year. And finally, 0.0001% of people become as successful as I did when I got to 25 years old. $300,000 a year, 500,000 followers, global impact. You are watching a tutorial on how to become hyper successful by the time you're only 25 years old, just like I did. But the problem is you will get demotivated and quit this path if you don't understand this. You don't see the results of hard work until around 25 years old. You see, when you're young in school and even 18, 19, 21 years old, position of life you're in is usually not down to hard work, discipline, self-improvement. It's usually down to more things like genetics, where you were born, the early positive feedback loops you got from like your early teachers and early social life that, you know, compounded over years. So basically, basically, when you're 21 years old, the position you're at is not actually dictated by your character traits and your discipline. It's just dictated by a bit of luck. That's why if you have already been working hard, you've already, for example, been really trying to study hard, build businesses, you've been researching these things, you've been going to the gym, you might be 21, 22 years old, looking around at guys who aren't actually on the same path as you, like, they're not on self-improvement, they're not disciplined. And it almost looks like their life is better than yours. Like, they've got a better social life than you, they've got more friends, that guy's got a girlfriend, he doesn't even go to the gym and he's got a girlfriend. That's completely normal because at 21 years old, you're still moving with the momentum from school and the early years. It's the gap between 21 to 25 years old where that momentum from like the early life experiences, from luck, from genetics, it really goes downhill. And what starts to shine is what you have done in the recent years. What actions, what discipline, what self-improvement habits you have done in the last few years. Because when you do these when you're young, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Imagine we have a kid in high school who is a bit of a, like a bit of a low status kind of kid. He's not popular. Let's say he goes to the gym for 6 months. Let's say he meditates for 6 months. He's doing so much more than his peers in school. His position in the social hierarchy actually isn't going to change that much. Yeah, he might have like a bit more of a capped shoulder and a bit more of a six-pack, but that kid who's like objectively lazier than him still kind of gets more recognized and respected just because of the momentum that exists already. This is why 25 is a very special age for young people, because that's when it's so clear who's locked in and who completely fell off the habits, not just the way that they were born and the luck that they had from like, the type of parents and the country they were born in and their facial features, like the genetic features, their height or whatever. Things really start to shine for the people who have actually put in the real work. So if you started this discipline path and you're around like 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, don't be upset and don't get demotivated thinking maybe this stuff doesn't work, because you feel like even though you've made progress, it's not really being recognized by other people just yet. It takes a few more years. Right now, you are objectively higher than the people around you. You are. But it takes a few more years for it to be so obvious that then no one can ignore it. And I just need to speak about something as well. I'm not a pussy. I am never going to talk like everyone else to you, like how the female teacher spoke to you, how the world speaks to you, like no one's better than everyone else. Shut the fuck up. Fucking lies. Our life is a game of competition. It absolutely is. And you know what? Look, that's especially true for men, but it even is for women as well. The person who spends 4 hours a day scrolling on social media is at a lower level in life than the person who reads books for 4 hours. Absolutely true. The father who's abusive is at a lower level than the father who's present. Don't you let any of these pussies try and convince you like we're all the same level and you shouldn't talk like this, because it is just not true. We are in a big competition. We are. It is just how the world works. We're competing for careers, for business success, for resources, for money. We're competing for power, for influence, for followers. We're competing for even partners. We're competing for the quality partner that you can marry and you can have children with. So don't you ever try to make yourself believe that you're not competing against other people and that other people aren't higher or lower level than you. What I'm telling you is true. And if you've got like at least fucking some decent self-awareness, you're nodding your head thinking, finally someone tells me the truth. Like everyone's been trying to sugarcoat things to me, pretending that life isn't meant to be hard and competitive, but it is. And I'm gonna give you the respect that no other person online seems to give you, where they all just sugarcoat all these things and keep you in this comfortable little cocoon of warmth and complacency. Life is a competition, and I will always tell you the truth. You only click on my videos when you want like a harsh dose of reality. This is why we offend so many people, and there's so many people who watch my videos and they get kind of like offended, and then they want to make like a hate video like, oh, but Hamza's so extreme on his discipline, he's so extreme, he says that you shouldn't stay up late watching anime, but I sometimes like to scroll and I sometimes like to watch porn, everything in moderation. And I'm like, bro, you're a fucking pussy. Fuck you, and don't you ever try and fucking convince me everything in moderation. Coward. Jeffrey. We don't want to be Jeffreys. We don't want to be Jessicas, right? If you agree with me, keep watching. If you disagree and you're like, everything in moderation, I'm fine being a Jeffrey, and the people who have leveled up, they should pay taxes and then give me free money. Fuck you, and fuck everyone who's like that. But look, the big question is, how can you actually lock in? Because if it was simple and easy to understand, you would have done it already. But you still feel like you're not completely and utterly like aligned. You feel like you haven't completely gotten into this path. Why? And I think one of the biggest reasons this is so interesting, I think one of the biggest reasons is because of school. School conditioned us for so many years to wait for daddy. It taught us inside of every cell of our body, like it forced us inside of us, so deep inside that we've just ingrained it like it's normal. It taught us that you have to wait for someone to tell you what to do. You have to wait for the authority figure, the daddy, the teacher, to tell you what work to do. If that's the case, you cannot become very successful in life. That's the problem with school, is it does not train you to become like a very successful person. It trains you to become a follower of the successful person. Chances are you're not fully locked in right now because you're still waiting for like the teacher to tell you what to do. Like, how messed up is that? Because there isn't going to be a teacher to tell you what to do for the rest of your life unless you go get, some mid-tier job and you've got a boss who tells you. But then you're never going to get rich living like that. You need to become self-motivated. You need to be able to set yourself work, sit down and actually do it, so you start to trust yourself. Like, if you say, I'm going to do this work, I'm going to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'm going to get this job. If you say this to yourself and you don't take action on it, you will lose trust in yourself, as many young people have. You need to start from like the foundation and start setting yourself work and actually following through with it. And also, you need to know what actual work to do. So here's what you need to do like right now. Like, here's the 3 steps. Like, I'm breaking this down into like autistic details so you really understand. Here's the 3 steps to locking in. Step number 1, set goals. I think you should only set 2 goals right now at this early age. I think you should set 1 goal about work and 1 goal about fitness. So work might be, for example, I want to hit 1,000 subscribers, or it might be, I want to get that job that I've been applying for. And fitness might be, for example, I want to get to 10% body fat, or I want to bulk to 180 pounds. Think about the thing that if you achieved it in the next like year or 2 years, that would lay the foundation of an even better trajectory in the kind of life that you want. I'm assuming you want a similar life to me, that by the time you become 25 years old, you're on track to becoming a millionaire, but you're also sexy, happy, and funny at the same time. Like, I know some people who have made a lot of money when they're young, but then they're not happy, or they're in terrible shape and they're just not confident when they actually walk around through the day. They walk like little pussies. Chances are you don't just want to be rich. You want to be rich and sexy at the same time, and then also happy and social, and you want the full package. And I promise you, I tell you, like, it is real, and it is like, it's not as unreasonable as you think it is to get up to like 100K a year in your 20s. It's not even, I might sound like fucking crazy. I don't think it's that crazy to become a millionaire in your 20s. I really don't. With the opportunities we have in front of you right now, like social media, it's not that crazy. Like, I've got some friends who are younger than me and they're millionaires, right? I've got some friends who became millionaires like 23, 24 years old. Is it extreme? Yes, of course. But like, did you want to live the normal life of balance and moderation anyway? We already lived that life and we were so dissatisfied with being like random fucking content consumers and scrolling and watching porn and playing video games and whatever. We already lived that life and it was fucking shit. The extreme life of discipline is so fulfilling. You've got, like, what the fuck else are you going to do with your time? You may as well level up. Like, life is your video game. So you set the 2 goals, work and fitness. Set the goals, think about them in your mind right now. Step number 2 to locking in, thinking about the handbrakes of your success. Basically, what are the few things that are holding you back from these goals? So think about your 2 goals and really just be honest to yourself. Like, just close your eyes and visualize. What are the reasons why you're not going to achieve these goals? It might be something big, like an addiction. Like, for example, right now you're addicted to scrolling on social media, so you stay up late and it's destroying your dopamine receptors and your attention span. That might be one. It might also be beliefs. It might be, for example, you don't even believe that you could become successful. You have some weird belief to think that everyone who tells you that they're successful at like a young age is like lying or scamming. I used to have the exact same belief. I swear to God, I was like 21 or 22 years old and I would see people on YouTube, specifically this one fucking guy, right? This one guy, his name was Iman Gaji. I would see his videos, like his adverts pop up on YouTube. And he'd be saying like, oh, so I'm like 21 years old and I'm like a millionaire. I was a little bit older than him. And I would see his adverts at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And when his adverts would play on my YouTube, I would get pissed off because I was older. This guy who's younger than me is saying that he's a millionaire. He's like a high school dropout and he's buying all these watches. And I was like, yeah, right. Fucking liar. I just knew it's gotta be a lie. I was working for £9 an hour at this point. I was working in a homeless shelter. Still, I tried my best to destroy this limiting belief because I realized, look, he could be lying. He could be telling the truth. If I think he's lying, it doesn't actually serve me. Like, if anything, it demotivates me. When I would think he's telling the truth and I would get into a bit of this hype thinking like, oh yeah, like I could get rich when I'm young as well. I would get like hype. I would get positive. When I would think that people like him and others were lying, I would get into this like, yeah, and there's no way to make that much money when you're young anyway. So I became aware of this and realized, okay, well, like, look, you don't know the truth, but you may as well just assume these people are telling the truth. So I assumed he was telling the truth. I went all in on my YouTube channel. I started making amazing money. And then in 2022, I flew to Dubai and met him. I stayed in his apartment and he wasn't lying about how successful he was. It was actually legit. If anything, he downplays his success sometimes. So this was so important to me, this experience where the specific guy on the internet I thought was like a liar, who, by the way, like, bro, like, I've seen so many videos where people think he's not rich or whatever. And then I literally like stayed at his apartment in Dubai for a few days and I'm realizing like, oh no shit, like he's legit. Like he actually makes this much fucking money. At that time, I was making like good. I was making $25,000 a month. So I was already like rich as a young person. But this was like next level because I think he's about 1 or 2 years younger than me. And I owe him a lot for this because it's not even something that he did. It's just that like me observing him and then hanging out with him for a few days destroyed that limiting belief in my mind to think like, oh yeah, if you see someone who's rich, don't even doubt it. There's a chance that they're lying and they've just rented the Lamborghini for a day, but it doesn't serve you to believe that. I realized that it was some of these beliefs were holding me back for months of my life. Like, how do you feel about me when I tell you how much money I was making? When I was 25 years old, I was making about 25K a month. Now I'm 28 and I make over $100,000 a month. How do you feel about that? Do you think I'm lying to you? Do you think I'm like a bad person, a grifter, a scammer? Because the thing is, look, those things could be true. The thing is, you don't even know. Almost no one would know the real truth apart from like me and my team or something, right? But that's fair enough. But here's the thing. It doesn't actually help you in any way to disbelieve the things that I say. If you believe the things that I say, it will help you. Now, that doesn't mean that you should believe me and then, you know, I tell you, now that you believe me, go buy my programs. Okay, fair enough. You keep like a healthy boundary if you want to. Fine, don't buy my stuff, don't buy it. But either way, it serves you more to just think, you know what? Hamza seems kind of trustworthy. He's talked a lot about his mistakes. He's posted a lot. He's got a lot of followers. I can click on the links and I can see how many people are actually inside of his program. Like, I'm on a website which shows you like basically how much money I make. You can literally click on the links and see how many people are inside of my groups, how much they pay. You can go and like look right now. Like it's legit. You can't like change the numbers on this website or whatever. It just shows you how many people are inside of your community. You can go see. And I want you to believe that, because I don't just want you to look at someone who's rich and think, oh, well, you know, they're lying or they're scamming. It's a grift, or like, bro, that doesn't serve you. I want you to look at someone who's rich, like let's say the way you look at me, and I want you to think like, fuck yeah, Hamza, fuck yeah. Like, he didn't come from wealth. No one gave me fucking money or like clout or nothing, bro. You better fucking believe me. No one has ever done like a fucking shout out for me. No one has ever just sent me money or anything. Like, you know, my parents have maybe sent me like a couple £100 at sometimes, right? Nothing crazy, not thousands or anything, right? This was like fucking pretty fucking like self-made in a way. I still got a lot of help from like family, you know, they let me just fucking work on this instead of forcing me to get a job or whatever. But I want you to like look at me, for example, and think, you know what, fuck yeah, I'm happy for him, I'm proud for him. And if Hamza's done it, then I can do it too. So your belief may be something that's holding you back. More often than not, it is usually like some of these random bad habits. Like, you know, you're just staying up late doing bullshit, you're not sleeping well, you're spending hours watching TV thinking that you need to relax at the end of a hard day. I'm telling you right now that the people who get to 25 years old and they're wildly successful, they're not thinking about relaxing at the end of a hard day by watching TV. They're thinking about relaxing by going to fucking sleep, right? So stop like the bullshit about like, oh, but I just need to unwind with 1 hour of video games or hyper stimulating TV or social media. That's not unwinding. Unwind by reading a book and then go to sleep and be in bed for like fucking 9 hours, 10 hours. That's real rest, right? I don't watch TV at the end of the day. I just get in bed for 10 fucking hours. So I rest better than the fucking guys who say to me like, no, Hamza, you're so extreme because rest is so important. I'm like, fuck you. I rest more than you do. 1 hour of TV, of movies, of scrolling, that's not rest. Don't you? That's like that's just empty fucking time, and it's not even that fun. Stop bullshitting yourself. You know what's fun? Contributing to fucking humanity. Doing work that actually fulfills you and helps people, right? When you see the comments underneath my videos and it's guys saying things like, Hamza, you're like the father figure I never had. That's what's fun. Work that gets you recognized like that. That's what's fun. Work that contributes and helps other people. That's fun. Video games, movies, scrolling, that's not fun. It is not. So you remove all these handbrakes to your success. You need to be honest to yourself right now. What is the 1 or 2 big handbrakes to your success? What are the 1 or 2 bad habits or bad beliefs that you have about the goals that you've written down that's holding you back? And step number 3 of locking in, and the most important step actually, is execution. This is the one that most people miss out on. I'm telling you, I'm not just making this like overemphasized for this YouTube video. I promise you this is the truth. Please listen to this. If you're gonna listen to anything of this video, this is the most important part. Everyone has like goals and they think about winning and they visualize. Everyone does that stuff, bro. Every fucking like little loser I meet says like, oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire when I'm 25. Every fucking guy says that. The difference between the people who actually get successful and the people who don't is just one thing. It is not the goals. It's not like the vague things like visualization. It's not those. I'm telling you right now, it is simply just execution. It's action. Did you just do the work? Or didn't you? So let's say you've set the goal and you want to be on like $10,000 a month by late next year. Like for example, let's say next December 2026, you want to make $10,000 in that month. That's like reasonably unreasonable to have a $100,000 a month business in like the next like 1 year or so. Okay, fair enough, we're pushing. Maybe about 5K is more reasonable for next December. Let's say that's your goal. If you just wake up and think about the goal, if you watch videos about the goal, you will not achieve the goal. It's executing on the goal, on the key tasks that will get you there. So let's say, for example, you want to be a YouTuber like me and you want to get to like $5,000 next December. The way that you would do this is by executing on the key tasks that actually move the needle, which are, for example, scripting out your video, planning the video, and recording the video, then having it uploaded with a good title, thumbnail. That's the big thing. Then also making a sales page and selling something. Those are the key tasks. But most guys who want to be YouTubers, they're fucking pussies. They're Jeffries. You know why? Because instead of doing these key tasks, when I ask them, oh, what have you been doing? They'll say, I've been thinking about it. Every time I hear the T word, thinking, I know that person is a fucking bitch. I know you're a fucking pussy if you ever fucking tell me, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. I'm thinking about starting the gym. I'm thinking. One day I was in an Uber back in my hometown and my Uber driver, I swear to God, reminded me of me by the way he would talk. He was brown, like he was from Pakistan as well. And we spoke about like online businesses and I didn't tell him how successful I was, but I think this was 2022. So I already had like hundreds of thousands of followers. I'm making minimum like 10, 15, 20K a month at this point. And he tells me like, oh yeah, like online businesses, whatever. And I say to him, oh, have you started one? And he says, no, I've just been thinking about it. I'm like, fucking bitch, fucking pussy. Anytime I hear someone saying I've been thinking about it, I'm like, you're a fucking pussy. What? How long do you need to think about it? You know, thinking about it's for pussies because you're not actually doing any of the work. It's not thinking about the fucking bench press that gets you a big chest. It's going to the gym and hitting the bench press. Stop fucking thinking about your dreams and actually go and do the actions that's required. But doing the actions that's required is more difficult. So everyone loves to believe that they're being productive by thinking about it, by watching videos about it. When actually the guy who doesn't think about it, the guy who doesn't watch content about it, the guy who doesn't have a plan and just goes in and does the fucking work, he makes infinitely more progress than the little nerd who keeps thinking about it. So whatever goal that you've got, you've been probably thinking about it for a little while before actually really executing on it. And you know you've made no fucking progress even though it feels productive. How many fucking dollars have you made in the business you've been thinking about? Zero. Basically, you've made no progress whatsoever. How many dollars have you made in the business that you've been thinking about for the last few fucking months? Zero. So imagine we bring in some fucking retard. Imagine we bring in like an absolute, like, you know, like the fucking like random little moron. And I sit him down and I force him to execute properly. And he actually gets a sale for just $1. Imagine like the business you're doing is selling something online. And I make him price it for $1. He gets a sale for $1 today. And this little retard is infinitely more productive than you. Because you're a nerd. Your brain's too fucking big and your neck's too fucking skinny, right? You have no spine. You're an intellectual just sat there thinking about it. I'll watch more content. Pussy! Stop fucking thinking about it and just go and make $1 from the business model that you've been thinking about it all this time. Go and make $1 as fast as possible. Stop thinking about starting the gym and just go in for your first session today. You don't even need a workout routine. Get the membership, walk in, hop on one of the machines, see the people around, speak to one of the personal trainers, speak to the big fucking jacked guy, and then leave. That's progress. That's literally you making some progress today. Literally, if you go in, if you've never been to the gym before and you just go in for 5 minutes, hop on one of the machines, look at the little picture and just follow it with really light weight, you've made more progress than you have for the last 6 months thinking about it. For so many guys, they'll tell me, oh, I want to get into martial arts. Hamza, you did that kickboxing fight. It was inspiring. And then they're like, oh, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, what? Why the fuck are you thinking about it? Just go onto Google Maps, search martial arts, kickboxing, boxing, whatever. Go find one of the clubs. It says, okay, 5 p.m. p.m. there's an adults class. Literally just show up at 5 p.m. and just say, hello, it's my first time. And you've made more progress in 1 hour than you have in like 6 months. Do you see now how some people can create vast levels of success by the time they're 25, whilst other people seem like subhumans next to them? Because some people will think about starting the business for like 6 months, 12 months, whilst other people will do it in like an hour. You want to know how long it took me to make my first dollar online in a business? Literally minutes. Now, this is why I became successful so quickly. Listen to my words. The first time I ever heard the concept of like making money, side hustles, it was people online discussing like how can you make extra money, and one guy commented saying that he sells things on eBay. I'm not a fucking pussy. So when I heard that, I grabbed my phone, I went to my wardrobe, I pulled out a hoodie, a grey Gymshark hoodie, and I took a picture of it and I listed it online. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, it had already sold. I made my first dollar online within like an hour of realizing the concept of like making money in business. That's why I have excelled so quickly as a young man. I became a millionaire when I was 26 years old, and I only started this business when I was like 22. I have made so fast progress, and this isn't just me just fucking deep throating my own cock here. This is just fact. The only people I know who are successful are the ones who don't think about it, they just execute. And the reason why so many people just think about it is because executing is a bit hard, right? It's harder to find out what time you can go to the martial arts class. It's harder to go on like a website and really make like a sales page to try and sell something right now than it is to just watch another YouTube video about it. But this is how you make progress. You need to just get over that sort of like difficulty, that uncomfortable feeling of like, oh, but what if I do it wrong? Yeah, but like not doing it at all is worse than doing it wrong. And I'll give you a tip for execution, because execution is the most important part of this video. And I learned to execute really well, even though I was like a dumbass, lazy video gamer. In 2020, when I really decided to get serious in life, I made a timetable. I literally wrote down hour to hour what I would do, kind of like you have in like school or even the military. 5 a.m. wake up and morning routine, 6 a.m. run outside, 7 a.m. work, 9 a.m. eat, 8, whatever, like every hour of the day was plotted. That was like the plan for the day that would help me achieve the goals and would automatically have me execute on them. So instead of just vaguely thinking about starting the business, I had a 2-hour block from like 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. to record YouTube videos. So it just got so clear that like, okay, you're supposed to record YouTube videos. Instead of thinking about making YouTube videos, the block was for recording YouTube videos. So I urge you, make a timetable like the one that I made back then and just follow it as best as you can. You'll still mess up. Look, you'll probably miss like 50% of the day because of procrastination, and some of the blocks go over, you know, this thing lasted 2 hours instead of 1 hour. Okay, that's fine, but still following it for 50% of the day is still better than your normal day anyway. That was the single biggest actionable step that I had taken that changed my life forever, and it built me vast amounts of success that by the time I got to 25 years old, I looked around and I was like, where is everyone? In some ways, it's like a sad, lonely journey up until you start to meet the other guys who also did this by themselves. Usually not from your own hometown, usually not your high school friends. But when you meet the other guys who did the same things as you realize, holy shit, like these are my best friends. And I want that for you. I want you to be the kind of person that when you get to 25 years old or 27 or 28, 29, 30, you think to yourself, wow, I really put in the work. I feel amazing. And almost everyone else that I know didn't. It's sad to see that, but it really affirms that the actions you took were legit. I want you to come out of this great filter, the 21 to 25-year-old gap, as victorious, not as a loser. I want to ask for your feedback quickly. I want you to comment how you felt through this video, especially at the times when I was telling you of my success. Because I really want to tell you more about my success and the way that I did things. But I often feel like it sounds like bragging or arrogant. And every now and then I'll get some comments of people saying like, oh, he's so egotistical, look, he keeps talking about his success. But for me personally, I actually leveled up so much when I was watching people who were talking about their success the same way that I am now. And I have a feeling like the people who don't like to hear that are usually the ones who aren't even doing the work anyway. But the people who are really watching these videos and really taking action, I have a feeling like you actually really like it when you hear me sort of hype up my own success and how I achieved it. So just leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about it, if you want me to keep talking like this or you want me to take a bit of a softer approach and try and pretend that I'm like not as successful as I am, because that's what the internet seems to like these days. But I have a feeling like the guys who are actually high performers still want to hear the truth, because that's what helped me. You know, people like Iman Gaji, people like Ali Abdal, they would openly talk about how successful they were, how much money they would make in, they would literally show it. And that gave me like so much inspiration. So that's what I've kind of wanted to replicate here. I'm kind of sorry for like, you know, calling you a pussy and being kind of abusive, but I'm also kind of not, because this is the kind of way that I had to speak to my younger self for him to actually like hype up and take some action. In my videos, I always seem like a massive asshole, like I'm shouting at you, calling you a pussy. And when my boys meet me in person, one of the things they always say is like, wow, like you're so nice and genuine. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm actually a fucking sweetheart. Like I'm actually such a sweet guy. I would never speak to you like this in person if, you know, we were just having a normal conversation. But I get fucking like, you know, like emotional, like hyper and heated, because I really want you to take this fucking message. I hope you always know it doesn't come from a place of like hate. It comes from a place of like tough love. It's the kind of tough love that I needed when I was younger. I needed like a masculine figure to like almost slap me in the face and say like, come on, like you're destined for greatness. You could accomplish more than everyone in your bloodline if you just fucking focus. That's what I aim to do for you. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah. By the way, no pressure, but there's a few links underneath this video that you can check out if you want to have a look at my paid programs. When you trust me enough and you feel like my free content has already changed your life, you can have a look at those.